Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Forum. I am Gary Young, facilitator this morning, along with my other facilitators, Miss Laura McCletty, who is not here at the moment, Miss Carlenia Ivory, Miss Jackie Everest Walton, Miss Natalie McElrath, our timekeeper, Mr. Winston Robinson, Mr. Robert Collins, while he's up there, Mr. Steve Johnson, Shay Abdullah. Excellent. So our forum runs from 8:30 to 10 a.m. At 9:45, we will pause for announcements from the audience. Announcements can be sent to Steve at, well, if you want to write this down, sjohnson@tuesdayforumcharlotte.org, but that is on our website as well. We always begin with prayer, so at this time, Mr. Pat, you want to come up? He's an eagle, ladies and gentlemen, but he's still a good man.
I want to say first thing in the morning. Hey, my prayer this morning is going to be real simple. Last night I had opportunity to attend the Gaston County Hall of Fame where they honored Mr. Robert Alvin Montgomery. Those of you who attended Second Ward, he was a football coach there. So he was inducted into their Hall of Fame. But at that last night, the people that were there, of course, Dr. Griffin was there as well because he had been coached by Robert Montgomery, as well as the great Jimmy Lee Kirkpatrick that traveled all the way from Oregon to be there. So I think it's appropriate this morning that we're having a forum on Civic Men because they talked about men being on assignment. And that's what these gentlemen, I think, are applying today. And the people that are gathered here, even the facilitators of this forum, they're on assignment. So that's my prayer this morning. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we just ask that you just continue to bless these men in this forum each and every day, that it brings about positive things that help uplift our community, much like our forefathers that came before us. Lord, we just ask that this continue to prosper and grow. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. We do have a moment of silence for our moment of silence. Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Pat. Again, here we do have a moment of silence. You can silence your phones and your watches. I know that can be overlooked at times. And your glasses, yes, ma'am. Thank you for that, Ms. Mayor. I think that was over to Robert. All right, so this morning, we are excited. We are listening to a couple of guests as they had some civic duties to attend to. But we are appreciative. This morning we have Mr. Sean Eldridge, Patrick Ward, and Mr. Kyrie Early. Mr. Early is everywhere. But no, this morning they're going to talk about some of the things they do civically as well as a film I believe Mr. Early had. So following this presentation, we will take questions from the audience. Please raise your hands and I will call on you in the order in which you have raised your hand. Questions should be no more than 30 seconds. So without further ado, yes. Before we forget, are there any first timers in the building with us? Well, we're going to give you an ample opportunity to introduce yourselves. But we have no first timers in the audience. All right, excellent. Well, welcome back. Well, without that, without further ado, we would love to. Oh, yes. You know, yeah. I was going to say, this morning is particularly special as we are esteemed and privileged to have the presence of Ms. Congresswoman Alma Adams.
Thank you all. Thanks for having me. My name is Sean Eldridge. I am the co-founder and CEO of Mirage Group Inc. I am a filmmaker, documentarian, retired federal agent from Homeland Security Investigations. And there's an interesting story how you go from doing that to making films. And so, but before we get into the film, love for Brother Patrick and for Kyrie to introduce himself.
Good morning, everybody. Always happy to be here. My name is Patrick Ward. I am in the film. I also had the opportunity to serve as the Southeastern Regional Director for Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So happy to be here amongst you guys and happy for you all to find out about the tremendous work that Sean has done.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyrie Early, and yes, I do have a suit. I just did not hit the memo. I have the pleasure of serving as the Political Action Committee Chairman for Pi Phi chapter of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, as well as co-chair of the same position for the Charlotte Pan-Hellenic Council. So, standing up and introducing myself is just something I learned at Morehouse College. Thank you.
We're not going to hold that Morehouse against him. I'm a proud Hampton man myself. But the film Civic Men. So how this came about, in my travels as a federal agent, and a lot of my work was in human trafficking, child trafficking. That was most of my career. With that has taken me to live in over 20 cities around the world. And what I noticed, no matter where I lived, was men might show up to be the face of a thing, but men weren't showing up in general. They weren't going to school board meetings, they weren't going to city council meetings, they weren't showing up to community events. If the ones that were showing up, it was the same 2 or 3 of us all the time. And then what you are finding is a lot of burnout. A lot of men are tired, a lot of men, now their excuses start creeping in. And so I moved to Charlotte 3 years ago, and I was like, man, Charlotte's unique because there was a lot of men around, but it was siloed. This brother over here doing this good work, but he ain't really working with nobody else. This brother over here doing good work, he ain't really working with nobody else. And so I started to ask the question of why. Why were they working in silos, or why are they working, not showing up at all? And so I decided to pull some good brothers in and put a camera in front of their face and ask them these questions. And so what the film really dives into is why are you showing up, or why are you not showing up? And we have a wide range of perspectives, from elected leaders to just everyday people just trying to survive, trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay rent. And the common consensus amongst all of them were, I'm tired. I go to work, I'm the head of my household, I gotta pay the bills, I'm a football coach, I'm a basketball coach, I'm coaching Little League, I'm in a Greek organization, they're asking me to do street cleanups every weekend, they're asking me to do this, they're asking me to do that, and so my civic duties are the things that end up lacking. But those are the things, a lot of times, that end up affecting you the most, and why we end up having to work so hard. Because now my taxes went up in my neighborhood. Now, I gotta worry about, there's a $2 million house built next to my $300,000 home. How am I gonna continue to afford to live in this neighborhood? Where else do I have to go? Or, I'm showing up the best I can, but it's only one of me. And so what I really want Civic Men to be is a spark. And not just a spark here in Charlotte, a spark across the state, a spark across this country. I'm fortunate that I have some colleges and cities that already have interest that want me to bring this film there, because they want to figure out how to spark engagement with the men in their community and get to the deeper reasoning of why aren't you showing up anymore? Is it we just haven't found your interest? This brother might care about public safety. This brother might care about housing. But what we are doing, we keep asking the same men that do show up to show up to everything. And they may not be the subject matter expert at everything, but a lot of times we ask the few that do show up to be that subject matter expert. And so I just wanted to spark a conversation that I hope leads to a movement of civic education. A lot of people don't even understand the difference between city council and county commission. They don't understand what the city manager do and what their role looks like in comparison to the mayor. They don't understand what the difference between a police department and a sheriff department is. They may know, like, well, I know the sheriff has the jails, but what's really the difference? Why is that an elected position, but the police chief, is hired? And so we want to use that to spark conversation, to spark engagement, to look at men's mental health, and just bring men together and spark fellowship. And so I'll pass it over to Kyrie or Patrick to see if their thoughts of being in the film.
Thank you. So I had a great time in the film, and if you spend time with Sean typically will ask you things that maybe not at the forefront of your mind, but they should be, right? And you walk in as a proud man, and you think you know things, but one of the things that I got from it was around really the fear that men have. Like, some of it is like, we aren't civically engaged because we're afraid. We're afraid of what we don't know. We're also afraid of the outcome. If I speak truth to power in the space and place, what does that mean for my household? What does that mean for my family? What does it mean for what I can do? There's in the trailer, there's a man who talks about the fear of losing his job in this place if he spoke up and said something strong, right? But being honest about that fear and working through that fear, right? Because if we're afraid, our whole community is afraid. We have tremendous women, some that are in this room. Miss Adams, I see Miss Ivory here. Women in this community and the women in our world have done some tremendous things, and there's also a moment that speaks to that as well. But men have to lead, and this is our chance to lead. This is our chance to step up, and not just, and really not just make it something to where it sounds good or it looks good. I'm the regional director of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. This is a proud alpha man. It's a proud omega man. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of folks in here. I remember the 100 Black Men and all that, and it all sounds good. But the truth is, we go into the same place, just taking different streets, right? And because the problems, the issues are the same, what happens if we come together? What happens if all of the D9 or all of those great Winston-Salem alumni like Winston join with A&T and join with Hampton and all those schools Miss Adams worked hard to get funding for? What if all those men showed up consistently and scheduled at a school board meeting each month or at a county commission meeting on Tuesday? What impact would that have, just our presence? And I do believe what Sean is doing is sparking that and getting to the root of that, and I'm happy to be a part of that, and he's inspired me to continue to build and do more.
So I'll start with a question. When it comes to civic duty, what problem are you trying to solve? And that struck a chord with me because there are a lot of different efforts, and as you mentioned, a lot of it is siloed. And what I see is there is a unfortunate issue of a lack of unity amongst all the different efforts that are going on. And it's the metaphor I like to use is it's similar to a human body, where we have well built out heart and lungs and organs, but there's no skin. So there's individual well built and organized pieces. But when it comes to politics and the distribution of resources, if you go and you ask the lungs, hey, what do you need? What resources can I give you? They'll say, hey, go talk to the mouth. Tell them to stop smoking. Tell them to stop pouring in the negative stuff into my lungs so we can breathe easier. But that's not all that the whole body needs, right? You talk to the kidneys, you're gonna get a different answer tons of nervousness, you're gonna get a different answer. So what I see is an opportunity to take all these well-built organizations and let's start stringing them together. And let's start working towards political leverage. Because that's really what this is about. There's a lot of things that are being demanded or asked for, requested, but power sees nothing unless there's actual leverage. And we're not going to compete on a financial level. Let's just go ahead and put that on the table. Compared to some of the other groups, that's just not it. So we have to talk about numbers. And yeah, that's what I'm excited to participate in the documentary about, to talk about, to continue to press upon the need for unity amongst those of us that are working on this effort. So as we see in the latest news, there are going to continue to be attacks on specific groups in this country. But my reality is there's only one human race. And unfortunately, we live in a paradigm where that's not the case, where we are just one human race. We're being divided. And I was born into that. I was born in 1979. And that's the way the situation was when I got here. So I didn't make it this way. I didn't want it that way. But this is what it is. So I'm looking it straight in the face. And I'm here to champion our causes and hopefully help us not be ignored in the future.
So before I open up for dialogue, the film does release May 23rd, Saturday, May 23rd here at Independent Picture House. You can go to their website, purchase tickets, $10.50. The tickets are, also have some flyers here that you'll be able to take with you, share with your community. But we would love to see you come out, support the film. What I love looking out here is seeing all the men in the room. Men, stand up. Stand up, please. This is powerful, seeing all these men in this room. Yes, and so, yes, and over here as well, yes. And so this is what we want to continue to see at our community meetings and things like that. So please come out, come enjoy, come celebrate men with us, and we'll open it up.
I did want to say too, when he asked the men to stand up, not only men, but the generations of men that are here. I recently just lost my uncle on Sunday from colon cancer, and when I looked at the men in my immediate family, he was the oldest at 79. My brother is 58, and then it's me. And I was like, oh Lord. You know, right. But the generation knowledge that's being transferred, blueprints that need to be set, wisdom and counsel that needs to be shared. I do think when Sean's film comes out, you will see the importance of leaving a trail, leaving breadcrumbs, and also setting up things where we can make it better. And so that fear can be subsided a little bit to say, you know, I do have a map, I do have a way to try to get some things done. So I just wanted to say generations and all our men matter, very, very much so.
At 77, it's refreshing to see young men 58 and below, and I consider anybody 60 and under young folk. So it's refreshing to see you guys come together. I'm concerned because you mentioned about the silo. Sounds like you're talking about more of the social silos versus the civic silos. And what you all have come to is the understanding the need for the coalition or collective of all of those. And that's what this body has been for over 40 years. So I just want to commend you. I really don't have a question. I just want to commend you because it gives me faith, hope, and pride to see you and what the future can be when men like you stand up all across the spectrum.
Thank you.
Just So again, just for the individual interviews, what are some of your individual goals or success measures that you'd like to see from those idealistic changes that will make a utopia?
Well, personally, I want not only men to watch the film, but I want children to watch the film, right? I want, idealistically, success for me is sparking those next generations, like saying, like, yeah, I should be involved. I should do more, right? We do have a lot of men that are, how should I say, set in our ways. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm not gonna do. But what Frederick Douglass said is easy to build children and try to fix broken men. So for me, I would love Sean's film to get into the youth and to get into all men, regardless of race, and say, well, yeah, I do need to be engaged. I do need to address my fears about getting engaged, because we do stay busy. Some of the busy is the hustle and the grind, because we're trying to provide. But some of it is also a distraction, because I'm scared, because I'm afraid to face some of those fears. So that's me.
Excuse me, can you hold your mic up when you're talking?
Okay.
We can hear you fine here, but it's a screening audience.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Initially, the goal was sharing civic resources, right? There's some organizations here that they don't have any resources, but they got a huge following. There's other organizations that they're moving more in silence, but they got banking behind them, they got money, things like that. But I spoke with a student at CPCC, his name Jalen, he's in the film, and he talked about, like, man, I'm gonna use the language he used, the old heads keep gatekeeping. I got ideas too. I got things I think will work too. I know how to use technology, and they the ones that keep holding me down. So then I just don't show up. Because I already know the old head, when I show up with my idea, he's gonna brush me off like I don't know what I'm talking about. But I get pulled over by the police too. I go through issues too. And so I'm really, for me, a goal now is like, how do we bridge that gap between generations, where the younger generation still feels like they can have a voice, and the older generation don't have to be threatened by new ideas. We need to progress. We need to bring all that together. There's power in bringing together like new technologies with the wisdom that some of us older ones might have. And so that's really become a big goal of mine.
From our perspective, in bringing the different aspects of the community together, what I started doing 2 years ago is the Black Voter Unity Summit. And so for me, that's a metric to annually do that continuously year after year, and hopefully even increase it. But the idea there is to bring everybody together that are part of these different organizations, and together with our political candidates that are saying that they would like the black vote, and having the organizational leaders as well talk to the community, and then bring in attorneys that'll do initial criminal expungement screenings. So there are different aspects of where we want to do is make sure that we have people there ready to help you register to vote, as well as remove any hurdles to your vote. So those are metrics that are very specific. We had 128 people sign in. The first year we did the Unity Summit, we had 78 last year, just simply because Johnson C. Smith decided to do their homecoming a little early. But outside of that, we have the event. It's free to attend. We feed everybody, get a bounce house outside for the kids. There's really no excuses, and the idea is to continue to do that every year, and hopefully bring everybody together on that page, and then morph that and evolve that into a continuous group that's going to be participating and educated about all different election cycles, not just presidential cycles. So those are the hopes and aspirations and metrics that I'm taking a look at and building upon.
Good morning, thank you again for coming. With the initial invitation, we wanted to know, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are. And also, the theater is small, so will there be another opening? And for the audience, 30 seconds questions, mine's not a question, and two minutes at the most for you. If you can do it in less time than that, that would be great. My question is, you speak about organizations, and it sounds very middle class. We're talking about what universities we attended. We're talking about organizations we are. That means you have discretionary dollars. How do you narrow that gap? Because, as Ken said, it's classism.
Yes, so there was kind of two questions there. So first,
It was guidelines for the audience and
Yes.
several questions.
yes. So first, I am a kid. I grew up on a tobacco farm, Southern Kentucky, town of 2000. It was the birthplace of Jefferson Davis, where I'm from, and everything that comes with that, I experienced in that little town. But I am the epitome of it takes a village. I did not, my mother had her struggles, and so she wasn't in my life. My father wasn't in my life, and I had 9 uncles, and I had a grandfather that raised me, and I was raised by all men. And those men poured into me. And my uncle likes to tell me, I'm the best of all of them, you know? And so that kind of led me down this space, and then, you know, I get on a path. I'm an Air Force veteran, and then become a federal agent with Homeland Security investigations. And in that, I found the power of story. People would hear, I worked a case where I saved over 25 young ladies that were in a false wall in a semi-truck. HSI was just like case solved. But for me, I was like, each one of those young ladies have a story that we're just brushing off, and we're sending them back into Mexico to be back in a worse situation. They're probably gonna, in a year, gonna be right back at this, you know? And so that really sparked me of like, how do I start capturing these stories and putting these stories out? So that's really what led me on my path. To speak to your question of bringing all classes together, that is a big goal of mine. There's a young man in the film, Nicholas Stevenson. This man is ordained and he don't even know it. And he's systems impacted. He has his struggles. He don't hide from his struggles. But for those of you who know DMX, like, that's what he reminded me of. There was this holiness over him, but he's from the streets. And it was so powerful watching him that he cried almost every word. This is a big street dude, big long dreads, but what was pouring out of him, he could not hold in those emotions. And that is a big thing of me, of like, we can't keep sitting in our high horses of our $500,000 homes and not be willing to go out and talk to the people that these things are affecting the most. And so a big part of what I want to do is, how do we start an organization that brings in all those people without financial barriers? Everyone can't join 100 Black Men. It's expensive. Everyone can't join a Divine Nine organization. You might not have the opportunity to go to college, or there's expenses that cost to join that. And so, you know, if I live in Little Rock apartments, I have a voice too. I might be the leader of my neighborhood over here. Some of these kids that are, you know, quote unquote gang leaders, they are just great leaders. You put them in the right environment, they're gonna lead anywhere. You know, you might see them as a blood or a crip, but they're gonna leave regardless if you put them in the right environment. So we want to bring all those together in one room, and let's start solving some of these solutions together. Let's start being mentors to some of them. Let's start showing them like, hey, I'm not trying to preach at you or point fingers at you. I'm just trying to get you to use your capabilities. Now, I know, I'm going on, I'm sorry. You got me started, my bad. But yes, so we do have a plan to bring that up.
So I will say, so whether you believe in the talent intent, whether you believe in the talent intent theory or not, I do think, particularly with Black men, what makes our responsibility so unique and so dutiful is that we all, a lot of us still to this day, it was the first generation that did this, the first person that did that. That means you are connected to folks who don't. And I don't even have to go to systems impact or gaming. It was just the man or woman who's just trying to work. They didn't want to do these things. They're just trying to make ends meet. We do have a duty not only to, I don't even say reach back, but make sure that we stay invested with to understand concerns, and also to build and to grow, get those resources to those communities, to those folks that need them just as much as we do, right? Having the discretionary funds comes with a level of responsibility to invest in those folks and to also learn from them as well. Like, this isn't even about what we can do for them, is what we can do for each other, in the sense of, this is what I'm facing, so this is what I need you to champion when I don't have the time. These are the things that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to understand how these laws and the legislations will affect me day to day. And once you get to a place with a man that, will share that, then it's incumbent upon us to go out and come back and continue to stay engaged.
Meet people where they are. That's my response. Backstory, I grew up, and I definitely was blessed to have both a mother and a father, and also ended up with a stepfather. So I had two men that poured into me and gave me a lot of wisdom and a lot of their lessons of life. One of the things that shaped me is that I'm a result of a divorced family. So when that happened, my mother didn't stop being who she was. She's always welcoming, and I think we had about 2 cats, a dog, fish, some fish. She was had open door policy when it came to people and animals. So in doing so, with her love, she ended up having to work 3 jobs. We were on, government assistance, trying to just make ends meet. We had neighbors that would bring food to the house just to help feed the family. So there were some struggles, but that is not something to be compared or something that's makes me different or above or below anyone else. So that's what I started with, meet people where they are. And that experience drove me to continue to push forward. One thing that my mother and father always did was they voted in every election. They always made sure that their voting status was active. They would talk to me and my other siblings about the importance of your civic duties. So that was ingrained in me from a very young age. And from there, I just rolled that forward and found out about more and more and more information, going to college and going to listening to all the different things that were going on. So now I'm at a point where we're just trying to organize and help all the different people in our Black community. Thank you.
Good morning, good evening, good night, Dr. Blanchpin here. You said some important things about, one thing I noticed about Charlotte, we have cliques, a lot of cliques. And so because you said you call yourself Civic Men, or I heard you say gatekeepers and the voices in the gap. And Maria Macon does an expungement. I'm not sure if y'all know about that. I'm a theater major and love film. There's a lot of us out here. So tell me, how are you pulling it together in order to bring some of us in? We have this conversation all the time with a lot of people that's doing so much, but how are we trying to pull it together so that way you can get a chance to know some of us out here?
Yeah, so it started at the core with the D9. That was the easiest for me. That was the low-hanging fruit, was being able to grab and pull in the D9. But then I've been fortunate of, I see two people here, Christine and Hannah. Christine runs Civility Localized, and it's a great organization. I was in the Civic Impact Academy, and it was something that really taught me like all the different services within Mecklenburg County and Charlotte. Oh, that's the contact. I need to meet with them. Oh, that's the contact. I need to meet with them. And then Hannah runs an organization called Network Charlotte that is tying in not just Black and brown organizations, but now it's tying in, it's kind of crossing that racial barrier where now I'm making connections just across Charlotte to try to pull in all these resources. And I've been fortunate of just ask. And the most shocking thing I've got from most people is no one's ever asked me, yeah, how can I help you? And so that's the biggest thing that I've learned so far is all they can say is no. I'm gonna go ask. You either can help pull in a resource, or you can't. But we're gonna try to pull this all together.
I can go next. So in terms of aligning everyone, I think it's also just a expectation and an understanding amongst leaders of these different organizations. So just being new in Charlotte, I moved to Charlotte in 2021. So I came in very objective, just wanted to see the lay of the land first. And what I saw is that there are specific individuals that have almost a selfish mindset, where you're trying to achieve a certain position in an organization or goal or something like that, and want all the credit. You want all of the social media. You want everything, all the pictures, all the colors of balloons that have to be your color. Like, there are certain things that are happening where, because of this landscape that we find ourselves in, there are people that are just going for theirs. And that's something that I'm hopeful to break those barriers down, and I've been successful in doing so with the Black Voter Unity Summit, and we're continuing to build that up. So I think it's a mindset thing that we really have to understand and face it, and let's not act like it's not happening. There are certain times, and I've talked to a lot of the elected officials, and they may be driving from Raleigh to come to an event where there's two organizations that are doing a rally or a political debate. There might be 20, 30 people there. And it's not exactly the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So, and it's not reflective of the whole community. So that's what I'm hopeful for, is to do exactly that, is to pull these organizations together and work together. And just one more piece of the financial, Forbes did a study on the different earning levels of different communities. The Black community, according to Forbes, only 6% of the Black community earns over $100,000 individually. So we have to be honest about that and face facts. Thank you.
Thank all you gentlemen for doing what you're doing, and I would love to be a part of it. What I heard early on was you mentioning the fatigue that men feel, the fear. I would also add trust in there and fighting for the importance and purpose for their life, which, to your point, Ms. Urban, is systematic, right? So my question is, what structure exists that's an appropriate model of success? And then what are those measurable outcomes that we can look for to say, okay, what we're doing is reaching who we needed to reach by X days, or however you're bounded that?
I do think, in doing some of this work around the country, we're building a newer structure. I think it's a similar issue no matter the city you're looking at. Baltimore might be the closest that's figuring it out. They have basically created a training that brings in all their civic organizations to train how to do it in a particular way for Baltimore, but those organizations end up leaving and all working together and pulling in their resources. And so that's a model I am looking closely at. The outcomes, I think, first it would just start by, you would just start noticing it. I think you would just start seeing like, oh, there's a lot of men around. There's a lot of men at this, oh, is there a particular issue going on? And then you're gonna start realizing like, oh no, they're just showing up now. But what I'm hoping to do is start building a CRM where we can bring in all these resources, collect that information, start doing community feedback with the men of this community, and start actually collecting that data. And that's the end goal of this. And really looking at where will we be by June next year is kind of my big goal of mine, of being able to put a report out of men's engagement civically.
Yeah, I'll just say that I agree, and that's a big part of what I talk about in the documentary. So let's pull these different organizations and communities together, and that way we are a block, and that cannot be ignored.
Hi, I'm Z from Sister Magazine. And I know y'all have the goal of men showing up and getting involved. What support can you receive from the sisters and women in your life to achieve your goal? And how would you like the women and girls to show up for y'all?
Hit me with a real one. I think that, well, first of all, the continued support, it's man's world, it's nothing. But no, the continued support and continue doing what you've been doing, but also holding us to task, right? Holding us to task in a real way, in a supportive way, and recognizing what's going on. We as a collective are facing battles, both men and women, and sometimes we operate from a combative space on both sides. And we need to get away from that. We are facing mutual concerns, mutual enemies, if you will. And so just the continued support is always needed. The answer is one of the greatest conversations I've ever heard was between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin. And understanding the pressures and things that men face, particularly black men. And then when you come home, the person you have to be out in the world may not be the person you need to be at home, and understand how that impacts and the dynamics that it takes for us to continue to succeed and push forward.
I think the one thing that we can do is, first of all, to understand that we're stronger together than we are apart. So to answer your question directly, when you want to make an impact, are you going to make a stronger impact with a finger or two fingers or a fist, right? When you see people in a fight, they're not pointing like this. They're punching with a fist. And that's all I'm trying to get understood, mentally, physically, and really emotionally and spiritually. If we come together as a community, then we cannot be stopped. And that's what I hope for black women. And I'd like to also give a shout out to Win with Black Women. Sister Jotega Edie, she leads that, and they just did a conference call, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. And had thousands of black women on that call. I think they are leading already. If we understand the last presidential election, 92% of black women voted in a certain direction. That is getting on the same page. And that's the kind of unity that we need. We need to be all pulling in the same direction. So that's what I hope is for black women and the leaders, especially elected officials, that are going to discuss the same exact thing and bringing all of us together on the same page. And that way we can then have a very leveraged conversation with the Hispanic community, with other communities. Instead of, hey, we want to work with you as a group. Okay, what church are you from? What organization are you from? Who are you individually? No. We want to work with you. That's a whole different leverage conversation. So that's what I hope.
And we had a question of, can I explain what a CRM is? It's a customer relationship management system. So it's basically, it builds a database of names, emails, phone numbers, groups, whatever, but it builds a database for you.
Good morning. I really don't have a question. I just want to say thank you. This is long overdue. If anybody had an opportunity to look at Rachel Maddox last night, she laid it out. She laid it out. We are in trouble. And we need all men, young men, seasoned, all men to please come together. So thank you for what you're doing. As I look around this room, there's so much talent in this room. So I hope each of you will join up. I am here to just say that you have my commitment, monetary as well as helping you to find resources. You can take me to lunch. And I will be more than happy to see how I can help you. Start with me.
Make sure that Sean connects with you, Ms. Ivory, ASAP. But is that? Well, while the microphone is getting back there, but to her point, there's no time, like, we have to come together. We really have no choice. Every day, all the time, you're seeing things that are working against us or working maybe not for our benefit, and we have to come together. This isn't an option type time. And I also want to say there are tremendous men who are doing the work. And I think what Sean wants to do is just find people where that can get multiplied and amplified. I get inspired every time I see Winston. I get inspired. I saw Jay Hill coming in and the brand new spirit. These are amazing Charlotteans. Yeah. That are here doing some work. The Val, me and him actually came into the 100 together. So work is being done. We're just trying to find ways to multiply that and get those things done.
Yes.
Yes, I'm up. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, gentlemen. 2 questions real quick. I'll preface it by saying this. As he said, member of the 100 Black Men for 9 years now. We're at 9 years, Patrick? Yeah. 9 years. I watched the school to prison pipeline for 27 years when I retired from the Michigan Department of Corrections. I have a passion for our young black males. Deep passion. The first thing is, when you do your film, what's next? Think about the Million Man March. Everybody got together. Then when it was done, now what? Nothing. So now what is the question for you in your film? I want to help any way I can. I feel like what I'm doing is a calling. I hate to use that word. I see the time. And the last question is 100 Black Men that expensive? Is that a universal thought?
You only get one question at a time.
All right. Sorry.
What's after the movie is this question?
Yeah, so what's after the movie is the official launch of Civic Men. And so at that movie, it's going to be a call to action to sign up to whether it's just, hey, I just want more information, or hey, I want to give, fiscally, or hey, I want to sponsor an event. I own a store, come to my store, let's host an event, and let's keep this conversation going. I have a plan for a march, but we'll talk offline more about that. But it's really, the film is the catalyst to get this thing launched, and then it's really to get men in a room and to figure out what is needed. I'm one man. I can't decide what's best for you, what you need in your HOA, your community, or what's best for a young man that might live up in West Charlotte. So I want to bring everyone together, and let's start moving together as a unit.
I just would like to make a statement. You asked about if something is expensive. There is definitely a financial investment, but what I would ask everybody in here is how cheap should losing our young men be?
Hey, appreciate you gentlemen for spending time with us answering questions. The question that I have is, in a place like Charlotte where the city moves where the money moves, and it's a very financial-based city, the things that benefit black people that I've seen the most may not make money. So how do we explain the value of culture and community in a financial city like Charlotte?
I'll start that one. I saw the same thing, right? And just coming in, that's why I wanted to make sure that the Black World Unity Summit was free to attend. There's a lot of different financial pressures on our community, and specifically for those that may be low to moderate income. So bringing everybody in, making sure they got a plate of food to eat for them, their kids, and bringing services and people that are all talking about the same thing, which is empowerment. Okay, so I think it's also about Black-owned businesses and the multiplier effect. So when you, as a person of a community, let's just take the Jewish community, for example, when they go and they support their own community, then that business owner is more likely to do business and resource their materials, what they need to do their business from another member of their community, and then that supplier then works with the people of their faith community to their religious organizations as well, and then the circle continues. So I think that there's a multiplier effect when we support our own, and that does not mean that there's anything wrong with supporting anybody else. It just builds us first, and then we can come together and use that as a leverage point. Say, hey, we are a unified group, and we are here to have a conversation on equal footing. So I think that's a part of what you're talking about and what you're getting at. But until we get there, we have to continue to work the grassroots and organize and pull people together.
Love the piece, Jamin Heron. In this conversation, I'm thinking around responsibility and accountability, specifically with it being Mental Health Month. And how do us as men take, responsibility for our mental health, but then also accountability in how that acts out in our community, how our mental health plays out, whether it be through gun violence or even domestic violence in our communities. How do we address and take accountability for those issues?
Yeah, so the idea would be, so within Sigma, we started a program called Sigma Justice Alliance, especially a 10-week civic education cohort. The first 2 weeks of that was we hired a local therapist here, and before we got into any civic engagement, first 2 weeks was around Black men, mental health, and the weight that we carry. And I'm telling you, the men's men breaking down, because no one's ever just asked them, hey brother, how you doing? Like, no stipulation, no nothing with it. How are you? And not just, I'm straight, yeah, let's keep it moving. How are you? I have a friend that told me he loved me the other day. I was like, bet. Because I didn't know what to say back. but why is that, right? Why did I feel so that I couldn't just say I love you too? And even when you do it, it's all right. Oh yeah, bro, I love you too, bro. Like, it's never just I love you too. And so those are things that we understand we have to address that first before we're even capable of moving forward with any of these other civic things.
And also giving people language and terms for, because sometimes we will think something, we just don't know the term for it. We don't, and so unlocking that for other men, double consciousness, I have to know how I'm perceived, I also have to know how you're perceiving me, and just that mental exertion and that work, and talking through it and about it with folks help, and you will be surprised when groups of men get together the things that they will share. Sorry.
I thank you for the question. Oh, we have time? Okay.
Oh, you could.
Okay. I just wanted to say that mental health issues are real, so thank you for bringing the question up. Personally, I have an adopted brother whose mother gave him up at a very, very early age, and we witnessed his father get killed in front of him. So he had a lot of mental issues, and I saw him on a daily basis. One thing he did not have is ADHD, and they diagnosed him with it in the 90s and had him on Ritalin and had him on these things, and that did not help. That pushed him back. So I saw exactly what you're talking about on a daily basis, and it is not easy. It is a very, very serious issue and a big struggle. So I commend anyone that is continuing to work through that. And I know it is a struggle on a daily basis, and I think that's why we have to have our community as a unified block so we can wrap our arms around individuals like that so that we can offer resources. One of the things I'm a proponent of is Black empowerment engagement programs, where we have all these different programs that are by a church or by a D9 organization or by something, and they're doing great work. It's for the community, but there aren't enough people in the room. So that's one thing I'm hoping to do is get all of the different programs aligned in a database as he mentioned, and that way you can go in there and search, okay, what age are you? Early childhood, here are all the different programs that are for you. Seniors, here are different programs for you. And then we can actually have our community engage with each other and surround these individuals with positivity. And I think that would be helpful.
I think my question is next. Let me first of all thank you all for not only being here, but the work that you're doing. I don't know if you're 501, that might help in terms of federal support. But I just want to raise this question about the recent Supreme Court ruling. Mr. Gurley talked about what his parents did, but I just want to say that we're living in a very devastating time period where our voting rights, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, is actually being diminished and depleted since this ruling came down. I'm just wondering if, as a part of what you're doing, will you take a look at that? And one of the charges could be to call on the Congress to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We're going to have to do something, or we're not going to be able to survive this.
You mentioned my name, so I will take the first stab at that. Thank you for that question. I have been paying attention to that, and I think it's, first of all, understanding the history, right? We definitely going to need the elected officials to play their part in this, but when it came to that Voting Rights Act, there wasn't a Black political caucus at that time. Black political caucus didn't get founded until 1971. So how did that even come about? That came back from Dr. Martin Luther King and grassroots efforts that pushed the situation and the issue into national headlines. So there was a reaction from the political class that they could not ignore what they were seeing on TV. They were forced the issue. So I think that we have to be clear about that history and not rest on our laurels and say, hey, okay, the politicians will take care of it. No, we have to support our politicians that are bringing these issues to the forefront and then let everybody else know that they have our support and we're going to support them whenever they come to our town or they come to a meeting or they're going to advocate on our behalf. That's your job. So we appreciate you bringing that up, and we definitely want to do what we can to support you. But me individually supporting that effort is different than us coming all together and say, hey, this entire block of voters is all supporting you, right? And it's supporting the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, or supporting the anti-lynching bills, or supporting a specific anti-Black hate crime bill, right? So there are specific things that can be done, but we have to come together to support you. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, we definitely have to get together. I will say, to your point, you know, when you saw what happened with Louisiana and you see Alabama and Mississippi, you know South Carolina is going to be next. And it's like, it's not only just getting together, it is saying, brothers, let's come together, let's sit, let's go talk with Miss Adams. How do we get this done? How are we persistent about it? How do we show up? You know, Congressman John Lewis, a good signal man, by the way. The Voting Rights Act continues to be top of mind. We have a civic engine for not just us, but for all members of the community to go out to see who your elected officials are, to your local level when your next election things are coming up. But being more than advocates, being consistent and persistent, there is an agenda. Other groups are working to get their agenda done, and we need to work to get ours done. Sit down with the people who know how to do it. Sit down with you who is doing the fight day in and day out, so we can make that substantive change. And so when it comes, we can speak truth to power in a way that's organized, strategized, and ready to execute.
Good morning. My name is Samir Hamid. I'm a full-time storyteller here in Charlotte. As we know, Charlotte's the best city in the world, but maybe the rest of the world doesn't know it yet. What do y'all feel is missing from the narrative to get them up to speed to where our city is?
So there's a few things of looking at Charlotte. You know, when I go to other places, all I hear is like, oh man, I heard Charlotte's like the new Atlanta, and it's Chocolate City, and it's this and that, right? And, you know, one of the first things I learned here was the crescent and the wedge. And I live in the wedge. I have to drive to see Black people. And there's a discomfort. When I first moved there, and I have a 14-year-old son, I chose where I was going to live based off the school districts. I was just looking at the schools, didn't even take in the mind of what does the neighborhood make up, what does it look at, like, oh, this school has a good rating. And then I realized, like, within the wedge, I don't think they know what's going on with the rest of Charlotte. And so before we can start spreading the message outside of Charlotte, we need to start here. I don't even think some of my neighbors know who the mayor is. All they care about is their household. Hey, I work at this bank, I make a lot of money, I pay my mortgage, I pay my taxes, and I just live my life. They do not care about what is going on in West Charlotte or North Charlotte or what development is happening off of Tryon. They don't care about none of that. And so I'm really trying to start with, how do we tell the story of the rest of Charlotte within the wedge to get them to care at all?
Was there enough? All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, he was pointing at somebody saying I had a question. All right, at any rate, I'll ask.
Right here. We've got the list.
Yeah, we got the list, yeah. So at any rate, I was saying, I always ask this question, being a native Charlottean, and I meet people who's not from Charlotte, I always ask, why Charlotte? Charlotte, I mean, the world is a very big place. It's a lot of other cities, and it seems a lot of folks come to Charlotte and they kind of reinvent themselves for what they want. But I'm curious, from the beginning of your whole journey, why Charlotte from the get-go?
Why not?
Or that question, why Charlotte or why not?
So, for me, I've lived a lot of cities, just what my career. I am who I am. This is me everywhere I live. It's one of the first things I do is get involved wherever I live. I got children to think about. I got, you know, what community I'm gonna live in to think about. What brought me here, you know, I'm gonna brag a little bit. Stand up, my fiance. She's a Charlottean, and that's what brought me here. That's what got me into Charlotte. And so, seeing her involvement and really, and we talk about women and the impact that they made, seeing her involvement and seeing like, hey, this is this neighborhood, here's some struggles here, this is this, and this is what struggle here is. My thoughts immediately go to, okay, how can we fix it? What's the foundational issue that's going on? And so that's what really made me care quickly about Charlotte. Charlotte has so much hope. A kid from a farm being able to see, I never knew there were rich black people until I got to Hampton. Had no clue. I didn't really know there were middle class black people. I got to Hampton and saw kids with BMWs, and I showed up on campus in overalls. And so just really seeing all the possibilities of there's all different types of black people here, that was just so inspiring for me.
For the women in the room, I want to say, when you introduced yourself, the first thing you should have said is, "There's my fiance."
I came to Charlotte about 9 years ago from Columbus, Ohio, and my observation here is there already exists a strong black political. There already exists in Charlotte a strong black political structure. Start with the Black Political Caucus. Either get their endorsement or you don't, and it's vital. We already got strong black men. Monty Witherspoon on the school board, Arthur Griffin, Mark Jarrell. Are you folks working with those existing people? In addition, both the city manager and the county manager, each of whom make about $500,000 a year, are strong people. Do you see them involved in what you're doing?
Yes, so within this project, so Mark Jarrell's been a huge supporter. He wasn't able to be in the film, we just couldn't align time, but he wanted to. James Smuggy Mitchell, of course, Councilman JD's involved. Yes, there's a lot here, but it goes back to people working in silos. And so really the piece for me is how do we bring all these different resources together where it doesn't feel like he's off doing his own thing, he's off doing his own thing. And really my job is going to be to bridge that gap to bring all these different entities together so that it can build up as one. Because right now they're all doing kind of separate things. And there's no need for 4 separate organizations to be working on housing separately. Let's bring all that together. Let's put all our ideas together. Now we can come forward with our best foot forward.
No. Well, now like I said, I do think that our elected officials here are working and doing what they can. So they may not be able to be everywhere all the time to make the impact. But what I will say, the fact that you can name each one of them and how much money they make, let me know that they need to continue to work because they're always being watched.
I'll just add that these leaders have been working tirelessly and they need to be supported. I want to make sure that whatever efforts that they are specializing in and focusing on have the support that they need so that when they go to the mat to argue and to fight for the community, that the community is organized and stands behind them so that they aren't looked at as this is just a one-off. So I think that these elected officials are actually doing the work, and I've talked to them, and a lot of them have spoken at the Unity Summit. And I think that that's a clear indication that they not only want to support the community, but they also are going to do things that are going to work in conjunction to bring community together. And I think that's the underlying current of not only this film, but of this discussion today. Stronger together.
We're running late.
Good morning, gentlemen.
For
your time.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
We need to cut your answers to 1 minute if you can.
We've got one question, one last question.
Okay, thank you.
Here's the question I have. I heard quite a bit about the distance in space between the youth and the older groups. How often are you meeting with people, let's say, sub 18 years old?
For us, it started with our Civic Men Club, 52 young men, 17 and under. That was the easy target. But then some of the men in the film have linked me with youth leaders from different high schools and different things like that. So we're very actively engaged in them.
Personally, with our efforts, I'm also working with Johnson C. Smith University and the political science department on various efforts. One of those being a political scorecard. So this past semester, there's a class that part of the curriculum was to look at the elected officials as well as candidates in terms of their voting records as well as their campaign speeches, and providing a scorecard of what they are doing or not doing in terms of Black empowerment. So we are continuing to work with them and refine those, and hopefully get something that is simplified that we can share with the community. So that effort is also going on, and that is definitely younger age.
Demario.
Hi, my name is Demario. First of all, thank you, brothers, for doing what you guys are doing. I think what you're doing is highly needed. So continue your good work, please. Question I have is, well, it's kind of a statement and a question. I like to say our counterparts, like, when you say good school districts and all these good things, these are, a lot of it is not always funded by federal dollars. They're funded by people of affluent, money, right? People of money. And I want to know, what's your message to our Black, financially affluent people to get them to do the same? Like you say, brother, like, at no point took, I understand, no pun intended, but you said you moved here and you guys moved to a whole different district for better schools. Whereas our counterparts, they're staying in their districts and they're putting their monies into the schools in their districts versus moving out to another. How do we stop our people from doing that? And what is your message for our people to do that?
Yes, and just to clarify, I didn't move to a different district. I'm in CMS, but I moved in a part of the neighborhood that had better schools. But I think a thing that I heard was certain of our community feel like we're only asking the exact same 5 or 10 all the time. And it's like, man, it's a constant ask, and now I have to choose and decide. I want to diversify who we ask. Who's the lady that owns the tea bar? Like, I'm sure to be able to go to her and just be like, hey, can you give $500 to this effort? Maybe let's have an event here as well. We're going to bring some recognition to your business, but it doesn't have to always be a $5,000 ask, a $10,000 ask. We can go to some of these smaller businesses, ask for $250, ask for $500, but, the Bible say, the harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few, right? We really want to start spreading the wealth and asking a more diverse group.
I'd like to chime in on that. I think it's very important that we understand history, right? And not over-depend on leaders. We saw this in the civil rights era, right? We had an entire movement that was behind our Morehouse brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And 1968, he was removed from this planet of existence. And unfortunately, a lot of the efforts died along with him. And that's what we've seen in the past. We had Malcolm X, we had different leaders that once they were removed, then a lot of the efforts that they were leading were also diminished. So I think we have to be careful about that and rely on experts to be experts in what they are. I don't want someone that's a chef that's trying to do accounting, right? If they can, that's fine. But I don't want to ask them to do that. If they want to naturally do that, that's up to them. I believe in expertise, and providing their expertise. So do exactly what you do. Unity does not mean uniformity. That does not mean that we all have to be bald head with a gold dashiki on. It means do your part and do what you are an expert in. And then all the experts align. And then we come together as a community.
Last time I was here because I was, sitting on this side, I was here for the Soul of Philanthropy. I was co-chairing the exhibit at the Charlotte Museum of History on the Power of Black Giving with Belega Fullwood and NGAP. And what I discovered, my primary function and role there was really fundraising.
and getting funds. And so going to the more affluent folks, I've been here since 2004, so I've been here a little bit longer than them. And what I know and what I've discovered is that we do have some affluent black folks. How they choose to give and where they choose to give, sometimes it's silent and quiet because of reasons, right? Because they don't want people knocking at their door every day. Unlike some folks who welcome stuff, that's hard to do. But what I do think is, to your point about schools and things and building better communities and places and spaces, we basically have to build a better plan, get in front of those folks. And it's going to be a long-term job, but we can work and get those things done.
More questions? All right, everybody, give them a round of applause. At this moment, we will do announcements. Does anybody have?
I got one real quick. To you asking about stories, or somebody else saying about our stories. As a filmmaker, I've been producing a thing called 150 Plus a Day. It's a YouTube series where people are telling their stories of why they moved to Charlotte in 2 to 4 minutes. We're nearly at 150 interviews already. It will be coming out June 1. 150 plus a day why everybody's moving to Charlotte. So then you'll hear those stories. So it's pretty amazing, the story we're hearing.
Keep reminding us on that weekly too.
Say again?
I said keep reminding us on that weekly too. That's,
all right.
That's going to be good. Yeah. And before we proceed with any more, we do want to give these brothers an opportunity to just kind of close out with a closing statement. Anything you want to leave the people with on their minds?
I would say invest and engage with the film. Of course, you know, when I tell folks about Civic Men and what Sean is doing, they're like, well, what about the women? What about the sister? This isn't an either or. This is a both and. Yes, sisters face, women in general face things that we don't. Sexism, all of those things that are very important. But I do think you have to start with where you are, what you know, and move from that place. And so I think that's what Sean has had. And so let's do this. Let's get everybody out. You don't have to pick sides. This isn't a Meg and Klay Thompson thing. Everybody can be together and be on the same page.
One thing I want to leave everybody with is unity requires patience. There are a lot of questions about whether or not we have organizations that are existing to point to or what we already have. Listen, one step at a time. I believe in baby steps. We don't have to solve all of this all at once, all right? There are going to be election cycles after election cycle after election cycle. So when we take a long-term view, look at this, we have to organize around not just the midterms, not just the primaries. We're going to continuously be in a process. So what I'm focused on, and I hope that you all are as well, voter registration, education, and then mobilization of that, folks. So let's have some patience. Let's work just one relationship at a time, and eventually we will get there. But the old African proverb says, you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
And I'll just leave it with, please come out, support the film. We'll have flyers on the back table as you're leaving. Take flyers, share. People can scan the QR code, purchase tickets straight from Independent Picture House website. The film will be the spark. And so come out, enjoy yourself. Let's celebrate men that day.
Applause. Go ahead.
Yeah. Again, thank you. This was very inspirational. And Duval, I want to thank you. I had breakfast with him the other morning, y'all. He has a phenomenal program. Continue, and I will be getting together. But I wanted to invite you guys to the Partner Impact Award. We've been giving this out. Now you have an opportunity to register. We went different. We have Seth Bennett with the Hornets. just a fine young man who is going to be our keynote speaker, but it's about partners coming together to impact families and children. Please register. It's just an opportunity for you to network and for you to find out more about CMS and how we partner. Thank you.
Good morning. I have a company called Printless, and we print t-shirts in Charlotte. We just relaunched our Printless Community Fund, which is essentially a program that prints free shirts for nonprofits in Charlotte. So if you have a nonprofit in Charlotte, we have an initiative that will essentially print free shirts for your founders and your board. So reach out to me well, I'll just give you my cell phone number if you're interested, 704-606-3737. So that's 704-606-3737. Please shoot me a text or refer anybody that you know.
Thank you. Good morning. Hi everyone, I'm Christine Edwards Picken, and I wanted to tell y'all about a civic cohort that we have. Sean, who I'm so proud of, is a graduate of cohort 2. We also had another graduate from cohort 2 in the room. And so I just want to tell y'all about the Civic Impact Academy. We are on cohort 3 now, and it launches September 2026. Our applications open up in July. And it is the only leadership academy in Charlotte that combines government leaders, nonprofit leaders, and community leaders all in the same room to learn from one another and to learn from the experiences that we have here in Charlotte, just building our civic knowledge. We have a virtual info session coming up on May 13th, and we just had our first in-person info session. It was very well attended, thanks to Sean and the folks that are, just supporting. I really encourage y'all to come out. If you have any questions, go to civicimpactacademy.com. Thank you.
Is there any more announcements? All right, no more announcements. With that, we will close it out. We appreciate you coming by, spending your time with us this morning. Please have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Be safe out there. God bless.
I don't like to know about that.